Warning: the following video contains explicit language, which may be offensive to some viewers or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
Are you ready? Hey everybody, it's Jeff. It really is nice here. You know, it wasn't cold. It was partly sunny, but pretty nice, but quiet. You know, not a lot going on today. So anyway, I got a couple of videos here for this show for today, and this first one comes from Jesse Dollemore. And it's a 10-minute video, and he's going to be talking about how Trump is attacking free speech here. You're going to find this this video kind of funny because it seems like J.D. Vance didn't catch the memo here on what Trump was talking about doing to colleges and universities and what happens if to their federal funding if they allow illegal protests to take place on their campuses. So. Let's go to the video here, and we'll talk about that on the other side.
Let me just start you out with a quote from our illustrious Vice President of the United States of America, J.D. Vance. While there is an all-out assault on free speech in this country at the hands of Donald Trump himself and his emissaries like the U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia right here where I live, J.D. Vance had the gall to say this quote, among many others that we're going to cover today, yesterday on Hannity. Watch this.
Are we willing to defend people even if we disagree with what they say? If you're not willing to do that, I don't think you're fit to lead Europe or the United States of America.
What a beautiful question, J.D. Are we willing to defend people even when we disagree with what they say? If you're not willing to do that, I don't think you're fit to lead in Europe or in the United States of America, says the vice president, says J.D. Vance. The meritless clod. Which is interesting because just this morning, just hours after this interview aired on Fox News with Sean Hannity, Donald Trump posted on Truth Social this. All federal funding will stop for any college, school, or university that allows illegal protest. That just means protest. Any protest he doesn't like, he considers illegal. Like he said during the governor's meeting with Janet Mills, I am the law. Illegal protests. Agitators will be imprisoned or permanently sent back to the country from which they came. American students will be permanently expelled or, depending on the crime, arrested. No masks! Thank you for your attention to this matter. That's an official proclamation from the President of the United States. Apparently a man, much to the chagrin of J.D. Vance, the liar, is not willing to defend people even when he disagrees with what they say. And he's not willing to do that, so apparently, according to J.D. Vance, he's not fit to lead in the United States of America. Listen to the lies, the distraction, the spinning of a narrative that it just doesn't line up with reality. Listen to J.D. Vance signal that he is a proponent of free speech, an advocate for the First Amendment of the United States Constitution, while repping a president that is absolutely mask off, no dog whistle, opposed to free speech, believes he is the law, and anyone who goes against what he believes is doing something that's illegal. Watched J.D. Vance last night with Hannity on, of course, Fox News.
That we're not allowed to debate ideas, that we're not allowed to discuss things, that we have to silence people, censor them, throw them in jail for silently praying outside of an abortion clinic. These ideas are going to destroy Western civilization. They're going to destroy Europe, and they would destroy the United States of America if we allowed them to fester. Thank God we have a president now who believes in free speech, but the danger is still there. The danger is there in Europe. The danger is there in the United States of America. We have to ask ourselves the questions as leaders. Are we willing to defend people even if we disagree with what they say? If you're not willing to do that, I don't think you're fit to lead Europe or the United States of America.
This is a classic case of do as I say, not as I do. All of the things he mentioned are practices of free speech that he believes need to be protected because they align with his worldview. Notice, he didn't say something about people who want to protect abortion clinics. He didn't say anything about people who are protesting the ongoing genocide in Gaza. He's not saying anything about that because that would step out of line to the cult leader, to the dear leader, Donald Trump. It is laughable. But also, there's an element of this that this is just J.D. Vance on the heels of going to the extreme right wing in Germany and coming back to the United States whining that they're not allowed to throw up Nazi salutes there while they are here. There's certainly an element of that here. That he's really upset. J.D. Vance, well, we can't even say the N-word anymore. People want to cancel us. There's absolutely an element of it here. But this government, under Donald Trump, this regime is absolutely not committed to free speech. He's got his U.S. attorney right here in Washington, D.C. I talked about this the other day. This is a man who's overseen the case of the death threat and rape and death threat against my wife. And who knows where that's going to go. But he posted this as President Trump's lawyers. He's not President Trump's lawyers. His team are not President Trump's lawyers. We are proud to fight to protect his leadership. Their job is not to protect Donald Trump's leadership. He's a U.S. attorney for the District of Columbia. He's should be no fear, no favor, dispassionate administrator of justice. That's his job. He's not the president's lawyer, and he's not here to defend the fucking agenda of the president. We are vigilant in standing against entities like the AP that refuse to put America first. It's also not his job to defend companies, private organizations that don't put America first. And that, what he's talking about, is that the AP chose to recognize the Gulf of Mexico as what it's internationally recognized as, the Gulf of Mexico. It's not the Gulf of America, but their freedom of speech, their constitutionally protected rights under our Constitution are under threat. They're under threat because they're not putting America first. How does that align with what J.D. Vance is saying here, most stupidly, about if you're not willing to do this, you can't lead America or Europe? That same guy, Ed Martin, you'll remember, sent letters to both a member of the House of Representatives and Chuck Schumer, threatening them with investigation and prosecution for remarks they've made relative to politics. Talking about, are we bringing a knife to a gunfight or a bar fight, I think is what Garcia said. And Chuck Schumer said, Neil Gorsuch and the members of the Supreme Court, they're going to regret this decision. None of that's violent. None of that's even metaphorically violent. But Donald Trump has no adherence to any respect or desire to protect the Constitution. And yet J.D. Vance, the chubby mugged couch fucker, J.D. Vance, has the temerity and the lack of dignity or shame. He's bent the knee. I'm a never Trump guy. I'm a never Trump guy. Called Donald Trump America's Hitler, yet he bent the knee and kissed the ring and is now first in line to the presidency of the United States when Donald Trump eventually succumbs to Big Mac sauce coursing through his veins as opposed to blood. Anyway, what do you think here? A lot of this is going on And it's only going to get worse as Donald Trump is more emboldened and more addled in his melting brain. We will see. I'll tell you this, I'm not afraid of these goobers. There very likely will be attacks on independent media. David Pakman's been talking about it. Sam Cedar over at Majority Report's been talking about it. And we are in the crosshairs. I'm not saying me more than these others, but certainly there's an extra layer of threat here because I'm right here local. I live fewer than 2 miles from where Donald Trump lays his head every night. Anyway, what do you think? I'd love to know. I invite you to this conversation. You can comment below. You can also call the voicemail line, 714-576-4054. Of course, you can email me, as always, daily at dollemore.com. I would love to hear from you. Please.
Pretty quick, crazy stuff there. It's only people can have gatherings if they're doing stuff that's in agreement with Trump. In other words, if Trump likes it, it's fine. If he doesn't, it's illegal, and he will punish you accordingly. Okay? I just, like I said, this is, other people from other parts of the world are seeing what's happening here, and they are seeing reflections of the early days of Nazi Germany and what happened, okay? If they're seeing it, and, we're not, or at least some of us are not, then have we been afflicted with the same sort of dead, brain-mindedness that the Germans suffered prior to Adolf Hitler becoming, the head of Germany? I mean, I have to wonder, it certainly, it certainly gives you pause to think that, we're not really doing the right things here, and it seems like the playbook is being followed much the same way: austerity, instability, protests, violence, martial law, and then no elections. Okay, I mean, that's kind of where we're headed in that pattern here. But here's something that'll get people kind of giggling here. The MMR outbreak in Texas has clearly gotten worse. Bad enough where RFK Jr. is suggesting that parents get their kids vaccinated for, the measles and whatever the hell else was it, measles, mumps, and rubella, okay, MMR. And, the vaccines have been used in this country for over 40 years, and it's very effective at preventing this disease. But I guess if you got RFK Jr., who was an anti-vax loon, coming out and telling people in Texas they need to get vaccinated, then the problem in Texas has gotten bad. Okay? It's like, here we got Trump back in office again. We got an outbreak of something happening here that could become bigger, and we got the wrong person, in running the health department, and here we go. It's all over. It's all happening all over again. I have to wonder. And it's so quickly after the fact that we put RFK Jr. in charge. Now all these things are happening. Would it not have happened if we didn't? If we had somebody serious in that job, or makes you wonder. So yeah, now that this has happened, now he's coming out and saying the opposite. Now I don't know what that's going to mean for him and his job. Okay, Trump might turn around and fire him just because of what he said. Who knows? But I thought that was kind of funny that the guy who was always against vaccines and shit like that, now he's telling people they need to get it because it's getting bad. So there you have that. And here's this other thing here that I think is important about what Donald Trump wants to do now. And this was something that came out yesterday in The Guardian. And I have a feeling that had our governor not, said to Trump, you know, I'll see you in court. You know, Trump's been attacking Maine here in little waves here, as it were, since then. This is something here that I think, you know, he wouldn't have issued this thing otherwise, because I think, you know, he understands Maine here better than, you know, we give him credit for. Okay, and this is the article here from The Guardian, and it's written by Oliver Millen, and it's entitled "Trump Orders Swaths of U.S. Forests to be Cut Down for Timber." Donald Trump has ordered that swaths of America's forests be felled for timber, evading rules to protect endangered species while doing so, and raising the prospect of chainsaws razing some of the most ecologically important trees in the United States. The president, in an executive order, has demanded an expansion in tree cutting across 280 meters at acres, or 113 meters hectares of national forests and other public lands, claiming that, quote, heavy-handed federal policies, unquote, have made America reliant on foreign imports of timber. Quote, it is vital that we reverse these policies and increase domestic timber production to protect our national and economic security, unquote, the order adds. Trump has instructed the U.S. Forest Service and Bureau of Land Management to increase logging targets and for officials to circumvent the U.S.'s Endangered Species Act by using unspecified emergency powers to ignore protections placed upon vulnerable creatures' habitats. This move is similar to recent instructions by Trump to use a rarely used committee to push through fossil fuel projects, even if they imperil at-risk species. Experts have said this overriding of the Endangered Species Act is probably illegal. The order also stipulates logging projects can be sped up if they are purported wildfire risks reduction via thinning of vegetation that could ignite. Some scientists have said that aggressively felling forests, particularly established fire-resistant trees, actually increases the risk of fast-moving fires. Quote, this Trump executive order is the most blatant attempt in American history by a president to hand over federal public lands to the logging industry, unquote, said Chad Hansen, wildfire scientist at the John Muir Project. Quote, what's worse, the executive order is built on a lie, as Trump falsely claims that more logging will curb wildfires and protect communities, while the overwhelming weight of evidence shows exactly the opposite, unquote. Hansen said logging alters the microclimate of forests, creating hotter and drier conditions that helps wildfires such as the events that recently ravaged Los Angeles to spread faster. Quote, Trump's exact approach, logging in remote forests and telling communities that it will stop fires, is responsible for numerous towns being destroyed by fires in recent years and hundreds of lives lost, unquote, he said. Environmental groups decried Trump's latest attempt to circumvent endangered species laws that shield about 400 species in national forests, including grizzly bears, spotted owls, and wild salmon, and warned an increase in logging could pollute the water supply relied upon by millions of Americans. Quote, Trump's order will unleash the chainsaws and bulldozers on our federal forests. Clear-cutting these beautiful places will increase fire risk, drive species to extinction, pollute our rivers and streams, and destroy world-class recreation sites, unquote, said Randy Spivak, Public Lands of Policy Director for the Center for Biological Diversity. Quote, this is a particularly horrific move by Trump to loot our public lands by handing the keys to big business, unquote. The future of some of America's most prized forests now appears uncertain. Under Joe Biden, the U.S. committed to protecting the last fragments of old-growth forests, which contain some of the grandest and oldest trees on Earth. As trees soak up planet-heating carbon dioxide, protecting the oldest, most carbon-rich trees is seen as a way to help address the climate crisis. The former president also vowed to end deforestation by 2030. However, the amount of logging in national forests surged under Biden amid a rush of tree felling ahead of expected restrictions on old-growth cutting. Biden, under pressure from Republicans and the timber industry, halted the old growth protection plan in January, and Trump officially killed off the executive order in his first day back in the White House. Trump's shift towards a more industry-friendly stance has been underlined by his choice of a lumber executive lead, the Forest Service, which has just fired 2,000 workers amid a purge led by Elon Musk, who has also been recently seen wielding a chainsaw. Tom Schultz, previously a vice president of Idaho Forest Group, which sells wood, will be the next Forest Service chief, overseeing the management of 154 national forests and 193 acres of land, an area roughly the size of Texas. Working with our partners, we will actively manage, quote, working with our partners, we will actively manage national forests and grasslands, increase opportunities for outdoor recreation, and suppress wildfires with all available resources, emphasizing safety and the importance of protecting resource values, unquote, Schultz said in a statement. Green groups criticized the choice of Schultz, quote, naming a corporate lobbyist to run the agency tasked with overseeing the last old growth left in the U.S. makes it clear that the Trump administration's goal isn't to preserve our national forests, but to sell them off to billionaires and corporate polluters, unquote, said Anna Medema, Associate Director of Legislative and Administrative Advocacy for Forests and Public Lands at the Sierra Club. Schultz replaces Randy Moore, a soil scientist who was the first black person to lead the Forest Service. In a departing note to staff ahead of his retirement, Moore wrote that the recent loss of staff from the agency had been incredibly difficult. Quote, if you are feeling uncertainty, frustration, or loss, you are not alone, unquote, Moore wrote. Quote, these are real and valid emotions that I am feeling, too. Please take care of yourselves and each other, unquote. So, yeah. And the reason why before I read this, I was thinking about Maine here is because people in this state like the forest up here, okay? We really have a thing for the woods up here in the state. And I'm sure other states, you know, I could think, Alaska, Colorado, you know, the woods is an important thing for them, and they, you know, they don't want to see it torn down. I mean, that was part of the, I'm not going to say the only reason, but part of the reason why we stopped paper mills, you know, in Maine, okay, and we started importing our wood and stuff from Canada, and you know, like that. So, but because now we've created this barrier between us and Canada now, you know, we're kind of reliant on going back into our own woods again and start ripping it all up again just for, you know, for timber and stuff, so that way we'll have wood to build homes and shit like that, okay? So, so I'm thinking, you know, that, you know, Trump, you know, probably issues this fucking order here in a blatant way to not just, you know, just attack Maine, but also other states, okay? But I think Maine was on his mind when he was thinking, you know, Maine's got a lot of woods up there, and the people in that state really like their, you know, their country, you know, that they have up there. I mean, it's just, you know, it's pretty, and it's a tourist attraction. People like going up there, camping out, you know, and, you know, I can imagine, you know, he figures it would cause you know, a ruckus up here if they started logging again. So, you know, I'm thinking that's what he's doing. I mean, he's, you know, he hasn't forgotten, you know, Janet Mills's reaction to what he was saying about, you know, what he wanted the state to do here about, you know, trans people in sports. Okay. He hasn't forgot that. That pissed him off. It embarrassed him when she told him, "I'll see you in court." Okay, that really frosted his ass, in other words. But this is what, you know, he's fucking he's like a kid. He's like a little kid that throws a tantrum, and now he's attacking the state and the rest of the country, no less. But, you know, he's been doing a lot recently here in Maine to try to destabilize the state here. Was it today? Yeah, today they had a protest down in Augusta that was scheduled for today, and I think I don't see the news yet about it, so I don't know how many people actually showed up because it's only like 6 o'clock right now. But so that, yeah, they started that up today. I was getting notices in the my email about that, and so he's already got people in this state angry and arguing with each other, and that's what he wants. He wants to bring chaos into this state because of Janet Mills standing up to the fucker, So, like I said, who does stuff like that but a kid, a 2-year-old? And like somebody said, that could be a sign of his dementia, getting worse. When you stop protests, you start insurrections. And that's what he's trying to do. He's trying to stop protests because he's tired of people complaining about him, okay? And it hurts his image. Like I said, image is important to him. That's his weakness, is if you can make him look bad, that's what he hates the most, okay? And I think of this quote here from Bertrand Russell on the book Fascism Starts. First they fascinate the fools, then they muzzle the intelligent. Okay, and I feel like that's what's happening. Okay, the people who know who Trump is, okay, who warned MAGA about Trump. Now they're trying to muzzle us from saying anything else. I mean, they're going after, online shows. Like with Jesse Dollemore, okay? They want to put a tax on them or some damn thing for, the money they make. So I feel like, this is their attempt, they're beginning to take steps to try to muzzle people from saying things online that are contrary to what they want people to hear. They don't want to, they don't want people that are stupid to be educated, okay, or told that you are wrong and this is what's really going on, okay. And when you have a situation where injustice becomes law becomes the law of the land, then it's up to the people to mount a resistance, because that becomes their duty to do that. And I feel like that's, where we're heading right now, is that Trump is creating all this injustice, getting the country all riled up, and what are we going to do next? We're going to resist. And it becomes our duty to resist, because, you can't really break laws if you're trying to save your own country. You know what I'm saying? Okay, it's just like, how do I put this? You have to understand that when you're a person who believes in the laws of your country, okay, and all of a sudden those laws are being upended, being changed, okay, and it's not for the better, it's actually for the worse, okay, who can say you're breaking the law if you're trying to defend those laws as they were written, because those laws were just, and an unjust person is going in there and either removing the laws or changing them, okay? And since Trump is a criminal, why are we obligated to have to protect what he's doing, okay? If I lived across the street from a grocery store and I saw somebody break into the store and start stealing things, okay, but that person that broke in the store happens to be the mayor of the town, does that mean, oh, well, I can't do anything because it's the mayor? It's okay if the mayor does it, right? It can't be against the law if he's doing it. No. If he's breaking the law, he's breaking the law. So that means you have to get up, go over there and stop him. Okay? You got to stop the guy. Whether he's the mayor, the fucking president, whoever the hell it is. So that's why I'm saying, we really have to look at this in a different way. Okay? We got to stop looking at Trump as a person who is working inside the law. He's not. He's changing the game board so that way it suits him, which means some laws he's going to toss out, some he's going to change. And while we sit here and watch him tear things apart in this country, when are we going to get off our ass and go stop the guy robbing the fucking grocery store? Okay? It's our duty, you know, as citizens to go over there and do it, just to protect what we have. Okay? We can't just sit home and do nothing. So what if he's the president? So what if he's the commander-in-chief? That doesn't mean what he's doing is right. He's still a man. He's still a human being. He's still flawed. He's still, you know, whatever you want to call him. He's still a goddamn crook. He's a fucking felon. Okay? We don't owe that son of a bitch any loyalty at all. I don't care what his title is at the moment. Okay? His title would be prisoner number whatever if it was any other reality we were living in. But because he's got the title of president, we're supposed to be expected to treat him with respect? Like fucking hell. The rest of the world is not treating him with respect, and for damn good reason. Why should we? I don't care if he's the president. He's not a president to me. He's just the newest leader here. Whatever you want to call him. Oligarch leader, but he ain't no goddamn president. Okay? He's in there for himself. He ain't in there for us. That's why he's not a president. The president works for the people. Okay, but this guy, he's in there for himself. If he was working for us, he wouldn't need Elon Musk doing a goddamn thing, okay? He wouldn't need J.D. Vance, you know, as a lapdog to go sick at foreign leaders when they start to embarrass him. He wouldn't need all that shit. And he certainly wouldn't be attacking people the way he's been attacking them. So I just, like I said, I feel like this is really ridiculous. I mean, he wants to chop down the woods after everything that we've done to try to protect the trees and stuff in this country. Okay, he orders this to happen, and it's all for what? Do you think he cares about the lumber industry? No. He ain't. I don't think he's invested in anything to do with that. So why the hell would he care? You know, and everybody in this country has, you know, worked hard to try to protect what we have as for woods, because we, you know, ecologically speaking and climate-wise, it's good to have trees. Okay, so we've been trying to protect them, but he knows this. He knows that that's going to piss us off. You know, if he starts getting the chainsaws back out there, cutting the shit down. Okay, he knows. That's why he's doing it. It's a distraction, maybe. You know, to some other nefarious thing that he's up to, you know, to try to get people to stop bitching about something that he's been doing here, probably Ukraine, whatever the shit he's got going on with that. He's trying to distract everybody with this other fucking bullshit here. So, I think that's really what, you know, kind of what this is. But, you know, I feel sad that there are people who are going to follow that order of his and do exactly the opposite of what people in America want. And it's not like they have to do this, okay? These people that he's ordering trees to be cut down, nobody has to follow that fucking order, okay? If they know in their heart that order goes against the better nature of the country or the people's will of this country about the woods, then you don't have to follow that fucking order. What's Trump going to do? Put a gun at your head and say, start chopping trees down? You know how that's going to go down, right? Christ. That's ridiculous. So, no, there's no reason why anybody should feel like they have to follow an order from the president, because what he's doing is not right. If you know it's not right. Even in the fucking military, they tell you that. If you're given an order and you know it's not right, it's your duty to disobey. Okay? Screw the fucking threat of a court-martial. Take the fucking issue to the court-martial and let them decide whether what you did was right or wrong. But you're not under no obligation to follow every fucking order if it doesn't sound right or if it's a mistake. Okay? Checks and balances. Let's go to commercial break.
I'm Alex Curtis. I'm a lobsterman in Maine, and this is me.
I'm Roxy Sugar, and this is me.
I'm Eric Hopkins. I'm an artist, and this is me.
This is me.
Me.
This is me.
This is me.
At the end of the journey, the main thing is you, original.
Let's go. I knew it! Thank you, Daniel! You're a fucking traitor! 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 You're a traitor! 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 You're a fucking traitor! Traitor! You're a traitor! You're a traitor! Fuck you! Fuck you! Fuck you! Let go!
At first we were afraid, we were petrified, kept thinking we could never live without you by our side. And we spent so many nights thinking how you did us wrong. Now we've banded all together. Your tariff made us strong, and so you know you're not so great. There's not a snowball's chance in hell we'll be your 51st state. We should have told you this before. You don't believe this, but it's true. You really need our resources far more than we need you. So now just go, walk out the door. We do not need you. You're not welcome anymore. Weren't you the one who instigated these trade fights? You'll soon grow to regret it when we turn out your lights. And we will survive. As long as we can think and work, we know we'll stay alive. We have all we really need. We can live without your greed. We will survive. We will survive. There's been a change. It's time you knew. We're not that fledgling little country still in awe of you. We are now a nation proud that is happy to be free. You didn't realize you gave us our own identity. So now just go. We will survive. As long as we can think and work, we know we'll stay alive. We have all we really need. We can live without your greed. We will survive. We will survive. So just go. Go find the door. We don't like you. We're not friendly anymore. Weren't you the one who tried to give us a raw deal? But you can't live without our oil, aluminum, and steel. At first we were afraid, we were petrified, kept thinking we could never live without you by our side. Soon you will realize you didn't have a clue when we sell all our resources to anyone but you. Just so you know, you're not so great. There's not a snowball's chance in hell we'll be your 51st state. We should have closed our border tight, should have sent you on your way. We'd have known for just 1 second that you planned to make us pay. So now just go, vacate our space. We do not like you. You're such a big disgrace. Weren't you the one who tried to hurt us till we cried? You think we'd crumble and just lay down and die? It took all the strength we had not to fall apart, just to try to mend the pieces of our broken hearts. We spent so many nights crying softly in our beer. Now we realize that we have nothing left to fear. You hit us hard. You knocked us down, but underestimated the Canada you found. Now we're effing pissed and united to the core. We are true Canadians and will be forevermore. So just get lost and don't look back. We don't need you. We are giving you the sack. Weren't you the one who tried to hurt us till we cried? Do you think we'd crumble and just lay down and die? When you wake up, you'll realize that without all of our resources, you just couldn't survive. Once you see your foolish trade war would have done far too much harm, then we, the North, will welcome you back with open arms. Till that day, we'll lock our door. You will regret it. You can't win this turf war. The Canada we love so much will never die. We are proud Canadians. We hold our heads up high. Canada, we will survive. As long as we can think and work, we know we'll stay alive. We have all we really need. We can live without your greed. We will survive. We will survive. We will survive.
Feeling my husband with 8 inches was like reliving our first time. Thanks to the salt trick, he makes me gush like a broken pipe. And just last month, I was ready to divorce my husband. But then he showed me his new 8-inch magic wand. Now, I can barely hold it in my hand. This salt trick is hands down the biggest advantage any man can have heading into 2025. I wasn't kidding when I said you should take it easy with this trick. It can turn a sad little twig into a raging anaconda. It's ridiculously simple. And it's heartbreaking to see so many men missing out on the chance to finally make their women happy. So far, this easy homemade trick has helped over 29,000 men naturally increase both size and thickness. This is the same secret top-paid adult film actors use to keep their bats way above average. It's also how they manage to handle 3, 4, or even 5 women in a row without losing their stamina. The best part? It works for men of all ages, takes just 30 seconds before bed, and can give you some incredible results in no time. If you want to skip the details and go straight to the video, just click the Watch Now button below to learn how to pull off this simple but powerful trick tonight. You should probably watch it alone, if you know what I mean. Don't waste any more time. Watch it before it gets taken down or you can't find this video anymore. Your wife or girlfriend will thank you for the rest of her life.
Be a part of the entertainment value of a lifetime.
I loved it.
It was the best performance I've seen in a lifetime.
I loved the show. I liked it very much. He's a very entertaining man. It's well worth the money.
Now appearing in Charlottetown, coming to Halifax November 6th to the 18th, and St. John November 20th through the 26th.
Okay, welcome back, everybody. All right, so we have another video here, and this one's from Occupy Democrats, and it's an interesting video because they're going to talk about Rachel Maddow, who gave her viewers a little bit of a history lesson concerning a fellow named Senator Ernest Lundeen from Minnesota, who he was a senator back during World War II, I guess, or whatever, and he was talking about we shouldn't help out Europe because they owe us money. Okay, they owe us money for World War I. Okay, and they haven't paid yet, and now they're asking us to help them out with Hitler. Okay, to get rid of Hitler. Okay. So he was out there saying, no, we shouldn't do that. We shouldn't do that. We shouldn't help them. They owe us. Okay? Kind of sounds familiar, right? What's going on today? So let's go to that video here, and then we'll discuss it on the other side.
A vital comparison between what's happening right here and right now and this amazingly great story about a certain senator from Minnesota, Ernest Lundeen. Remember him, 1940? Well, as you're about to see, his treasonous turncoterie compared with the Russian talking points that we hear more and more spilling out of the mouths of duly elected Republican members of Congress Well, the parallels are simply incredible. So let's get right to the video from Rachel from last night and hear the remarkably similar words of appeasement and apology insistence uttered 85 short years ago. Here's the kicker. Wait till you see who actually wrote the speech in question that Lundin never lived to deliver. It's great stuff. Here's Rachel now.
So on July 10th, the German Air Force started its large-scale attack on our closest overseas ally, on Great Britain. That was the start of the Battle of Britain. And at that point, Great Britain was the last man standing in Western Europe. The Germans had spread out into Austria and then into Czechoslovakia, and then they took Poland and Denmark and Norway and Belgium and the Netherlands and Luxembourg and France. Nazi Germany was just rolling through all of those countries. And at the end, Britain was it. Starting July 10th, 1940, the might of the German Air Force turned its sights to destroying and ultimately trying to take Britain as well, because they wanted all of it. They wanted all of Europe. And at that point, the United States had to decide what we were going to do. Here was not just our closest overseas ally, but here was the last country standing in the way of total Nazi domination of all of Europe, which is what Hitler seemed to want to use not only for its own ends, but he seemed to want to use that as the cornerstone of a global Third Reich. Nazi world domination. And here's little Great Britain standing as the last thing between them and control of that continent. So what were we going to do? What President Roosevelt wanted to do was help our ally, help Great Britain stand up to the Nazis, help them hold the line. FDR expended a huge amount of political capital to do that, and also just capital, money, to send Britain as much support as he could manage, short of us getting into the war ourselves in 1940. That's what FDR did. That is what we remember the United States doing as a country. But at the time, it definitely wasn't like a consensus decision. That is definitely what President Roosevelt wanted to do, but lots of other people in the country did not want to do that at all. Remember that date, July 10th. That's when the German Air Force started attacking the British mainland, July 10th. Exactly 1 month later, on August 10th, 1940, a sitting U.S. senator gave a national speech on the radio in which he demanded that England should say thank you to us. They should be way more grateful. They should show us some respect. Frankly, all our allies should, for all that we've done for them. And it was time, frankly, for them to start paying us back. That senator's name was Ernest Lundin. He was a senator from Minnesota. And in Congress, he had formed something called the Make Europe Pay War Debts Committee, which said that we shouldn't be helping our so-called allies in Europe at all, because frankly, those allies, especially England, they owed us. They owed us money from the First World War, money they hadn't been able to pay back yet. We should focus now on making them pay us back rather than us giving them any more help. I mean, who cares that they're being invaded and attacked by the huge Nazi war machine, which has already invaded and taken over the whole rest of Western Europe? Not our problem. We should be collecting right now on what they owe us for helping them already the first time around. In no way should we be giving them any more help. Ernest Lundin was actually so into the idea of the Make Europe Pay War Debts Committee that he formed a second committee with a similar name that focused specifically on how they should pay their debts to us. His other committee said that they should pay their war debts to us by giving us their islands. Islands for War Debts Committee. That was his idea. Our allies are in the middle of being invaded and bombed and occupied by the Nazis, but this seems like a good moment to see if we can get some stuff off of them.
Seizure of the islands may be necessary, as was once advocated by Andrew Jackson, our great American president. Danish and Dutch, British and French island possessions in America, all must become American. In the meantime, our debts are piling sky high, approaching $50 billion, with a $6 billion deficit this year.
Yeah, see, we've got these debts. They owe us. Let's seize their islands to cover some of their debt to us. Let them fight off the Nazis themselves. They owe us. We shouldn't be helping them anymore. Less than 2 weeks after giving that speech on the radio, Senator Ernest Lundeen was dead in a mysterious plane crash. When they pulled his body out of the wreckage, they found in the pocket of his jacket a draft speech that he had been planning on giving in the United States Senate that was kind of along the same lines as that radio address. Definitely don't support our supposed allies as they are fighting Hitler. Who cares about whether or not they can fight Hitler off or not? What's so bad about Germany anyway? That was the draft of the speech in his pocket. He never got a chance to deliver that speech because he died in that plane crash. But that speech that he had on him, that he had in his pocket when he died, turns out that speech was written for him by the Nazi government, by a Nazi agent, by the Hitler government's top paid propaganda agent in the United States. Turns out that Senator Ernest Lundeen was being paid by the Nazis. He had been on Hitler's payroll the whole time. Hitler's government was paying him to argue in Washington, to use his position as a U.S. senator, to make this case to the American people that we shouldn't be helping our allies fight back against the Nazis in Europe. We should instead focus on getting them to apologize to us for not being able to pay back everything we did for them in the First World War. We should be getting them to show their gratitude to us now by figuring out what they can do, what they can give up of their own resources to prioritize paying us while they're fighting off the Nazis or whatever. That happened in August 1940. How was your day today?
I have been told by a senior official here that nothing's going to happen with this minerals deal until Zelensky goes in front of cameras and makes an explicit public apology.
85 years ago, in 1940, Ernest Lundeen was just a senator. He wasn't the president or the vice president. And ultimately, we did not adopt as a country this proposal that Hitler had stuffed into his mouth with a wad of cash, this proposal from him that we should refuse to even dig a grave for our allies, that we should not only refuse to help them, we should pile on them, make things even harder for them than they already were. We did not go along with that. Ernest Lundeen died in that plane crash. Not long thereafter, he was exposed as a paid Nazi agent. And then he quickly was forgotten. We didn't choose his course 85 years ago. We chose to go with what President Roosevelt wanted to do. We chose a very different course. And in so doing, the United States not only stood up for our allies and stood against the Nazis, the United States became the leader of the free world. And now it is 85 years later. It's 2025. We're 6 weeks into Donald Trump's second term as president. And our ally, Ukraine, doesn't have any islands to give up to us. But they do have minerals, I guess, that we could take off them, that we could mine. And so under Donald Trump, our offer to our ally, Ukraine, as they try to fight off an invasion from Russia, our offer to them is that they should be so lucky that we would deign to take all of their minerals. They'd be lucky to get such a deal with us. In fact, they'll only even get that deal. They'll only get the privilege of us taking their resources off of them if they grovel for it. But even then, maybe not.
Well, his words, they certainly ring with a sickening familiarity akin to the stuff that we hear today and every day from the party that bows to Putin, or as it's been called in the past, the GOP. Yeah, it sure seems like we've heard this song before.
That it's all just a little bit of history repeating.
Okay. So, I'm glad she brought that up because that is something that people ought to remember because it is sort of like, Trump and Vance are picking up that same talking point and hoping nobody would realize that they were repeating something that was once done before. and you know, it dovetails into, you know, Zelensky, you know, and saying to him, "Oh, we're not going to help you unless you give us your earth minerals over there in your country." Okay, and you know, it's been said that those minerals are only going to benefit Elon Musk because he wants that shit for whatever the hell he's making there. I don't know what it is, but that's basically why he's pushing for this. And you know, and at the same time they're saying, well, we've spent X amount of billions defending your country up to now. You owe us. It's like, well, the war isn't over yet. Trump's already acting like the war is over, and it's time for, you know, Ukraine to repay, you know, all what we've sent. But the war's not over, and Zelensky hasn't signed a goddamn thing. Okay, he hasn't done anything yet to suggest that you know, what Trump and Putin have worked out is acceptable. Okay, it's not. Okay, and the fact that he wasn't even included in the discussions between these two people over his own country, no less. Okay, is really, it reeks of, you know, really crooked shit that, you know, hey, I wouldn't trust that. No fucking way would I agree to that. No way. I don't care, you know, how sweet that he, you know, it sounds. Okay, sure, they want peace over there, but they don't want peace at the cost of your soul. It'll be a peace that later they'll regret. You know, because hey, Russia's saying, well, we want to keep the lands we took. Okay. That's going to be a hard thing for Zelensky in itself to agree on, is letting Russia keep what they take. But to sign an agreement for the United States to go in there on the other side and start digging up his fucking ground, you know, for rare earth minerals, and then saying, well, you know, we can keep Putin at bay so he doesn't invade. You can't guarantee that, because Putin would never agree to that either. Okay? So, you know what I'm saying? It's like, it's a bad deal. It's a bad fucking deal. And I think Zelensky knows this, and I think the other world leaders are saying as much to him. Don't follow that agreement. Now, that's pissing off Trump and Putin to no end, okay? Because both of them wanted this to happen. Hey, if the bad guys are the ones bitching that they're not, you know, you're not signing something, then obviously this thing was not worth signing, because obviously the benefits are going to the wrong people and not to Zelensky. So that's a big red flag, saying, hey, you know what? Because they're being so asinine about this, and, you know, getting pissed off and yelling at me in the Oval Office, because they're trying so hard to get me to sign it, that sounds to me like they, you know, they're the ones that's going to make out on my signature, not me. Okay, I should be the one that's pushing to get things signed, not them. Okay? But it was very clear that it was a shakedown in that meeting in the Oval Office that day. You know, like I said, it's like the mafia saying, "Oh, you pay me each week, and I'll protect you from the bad guys out there." Okay, it's a dumb deal, and it doesn't guarantee any peace at all, or guarantee that Russia's not going to go back in there 10 years from now, you know, and start all over again. Okay. He's broken every fucking deal that's ever been made, a ceasefire, you know, with Ukraine. He's broken all the ceasefires. I mean, he's not a person you can trust. And Trump can't make Putin more trustworthy. Okay? Trump is just another lapdog for Putin. All right? He's got Trump's number. I don't know what the hell he's got over Trump's head, but I'll tell you right now, Trump is not a person who's got authority over Putin. Okay, it's the other way around. And so, you know, I think that, you know, what we're seeing here, you know, is like a repeat of what went on all those years back, you know, where you had some big mouth senator sitting there trying to take advantage of a critical moment in history where lives were being lost and saying, "Oh, no, we're not going to help you until you give us what you owe us." It's like, you know what? Fuck you. Okay? We can debate what they owe us after we take care of the existing problem. But in the meantime, while we're sitting here dicking around with your stupid fucking point of view, England's about to fall. Okay? England's going to fall. And when England falls, then your point of view isn't going to matter anymore. It's going to be moot. Because England won't be in control. It was the worst time to bring up something like that was before the United States got involved in that fucking war. Okay? But this guy who was being paid by Hitler was there to distract, to sideline our government so that way we wouldn't help. It was important for Hitler that the United States stay out of that war. We were going to be his next target after he combed up all of Europe, right? Okay, but he needed time. He needed time to rearm, to rebuild his military because he lost so much during the war to take all those countries. Okay, he needed time. Eventually, he would have come after the United States. And the only reason why we had, we was able to mop up Europe in as quick a way as we did is we weren't alone. We had help from the other countries along the way. So we were able to clean up Africa and then push into the European nations and push Hitler back into Germany. We couldn't have done that just by the United States alone, okay? We still needed England's help and all them. So this guy, this Ernest Lundeen, okay, was a traitor to the country as it turned out later. And, I have to say, look, if you got Donald Trump and J.D. Vance kind of doing the same kind of playbook that Ernest Lundeen was doing, then they're traitors, okay? What they're doing is traitorous. They're holding Zelensky's country hostage, more or less, denying them, a ceasefire because, hey, you're either going to give us what we want or we're just going to let Russia, mop the fucking ground with, you know what I'm saying? Basically that's what he's doing. It's a shakedown. So, and what happens, happens now? I mean, if Trump doesn't get what he wants and Putin doesn't get what he wants, are the two people going to combine forces and go into Ukraine together? Are American troops going to be sent into Ukraine to fight the people that we once supported? How do you think that's going to look on the international scale? Okay, you want to talk about fucking outrage and hatred to this country? Shit. I mean, they're already mad at us right now for the crap that Trump pulled. All right, but if it ever comes to Trump siding with Putin and sending in American resources to help Putin, wipe out Ukraine. I think that would be like the worst possible thing to happen, okay? And if Trump thinks that that's a win for him, I'm going to bring a ceasefire, but if not, I'm just going to let Russia wipe him out. Okay, he's in for a rude fucking awakening. That right there not only would probably cause an impeachment, but probably cause an assassination. Okay, there would and who would be the suspects? The whole fucking world would be the suspect because everybody would want his head then. Okay, so you know what I'm saying? It would be stupid for Trump to push the envelope to that point. Okay, but Trump is good at doing the stupid thing. He talks about, I love the poorly educated. He's one of the poorly educated. Because what's he done that's been smart so far? Nothing. He can't run businesses. Okay? One of his own teachers said he was the dumbest pupil he ever had, in his career. I can't remember who quoted, where that is, But, yeah, one of his own teachers said how stupid Trump was. So, Trump is one of the intellectually crippled, and so we got him in there doing things, thinking that he's right, doesn't want to hear that he's wrong, okay? And he's trying to shut up people who are smarter than he is because they make him look bad, all right? You see what I'm saying? This guy is not healthy mentally. He's not healthy physically, but he's certainly not healthy mentally. And it's sad that people in this country feel that they can't do anything about this guy because he's the president. You know, if he was just a nobody, or they'd have moved to get him put in prison or something like that practically overnight. Okay, you'd never even know about it. It'd be done over and done with. Okay, and it should be that way even now. Okay, just because he's the president, if he's broken the law, then he's got to answer for it. You know, because we don't tolerate that from an average citizen, and if we're all if we're all required to follow the law, no matter who we are, then hey, the police ought to be over there putting the cuffs on his ass. Okay? But like I said, it's a very bizarre reality we're living in here. It makes no sense. I wish the world made more sense than it did, but it doesn't. And Trump certainly is the worst nonsensical individual that I've ever seen in government. Okay, and we've had some some oddballs that have come and gone in the government Oval Office or whatever, what have you, senators or congressmen. But Trump really takes the cake. I mean, he takes the cake, the fucking party, and every damn thing else with it. You know, I can't see how there's any hopeful outlook here. It's like there's only like a 1 in 10 chance that we can come out of this thing unscathed. Okay, a 1 in 10. It might even be a 1 in 100, chance. Okay, but I don't see that America is going to come out of this on the other end unscathed or even standing. That the country's still going to be standing after this, after Trump's done what he's doing. Okay, I don't feel hopeful about it, and that's bad because I know I'm not the only one that feels this way. And when you got a lot of people that are in that frame of mind, and they see more dismal shit happening, and there's no reason for it, okay? Because up to now, there hasn't been any reason for anything that Trump has done right now. He's been doing things that, if it went to a vote, it would never be allowed. But he's been doing all kinds of shit up to now that makes no sense and has no reason to happen. Things were fine when he became president, okay? Biden handed him a good economy, and he's ruining it right now. For what? For what? He's doing it because he wants to just wreck everything, and he wants to be a dictator. For whatever good that's going to do him. I mean, he's got what he's wanted. Why would he care? He's not going to go to prison for the shit that he did. So that should be enough for him. But no, it's got to be more. He's got to do more damage. It ain't. He's got to get his revenge. Take it out on the whole country. Okay, everybody. So there, like I said, he was handed a government that was coming back from a pandemic, a once in 100-year pandemic. Okay, and all he had to do was come into the White House and just ride out, what Biden had set into motion. That's all he had to do. And, and he wouldn't be as hated as he is right now, okay? People would have at least said, well, he didn't do much, but the economy was fine and everything was fine. Everything was great, okay? That's all he had to do. But no, that's not enough. No, he's got to stain it. He's got to shit all over it. You know what I'm saying? He's got to do something to wreck it because that's what he does. That's what he's all about. Whatever he's given, he ruins. He destroys. Whoever deals with him gets ruined and destroyed. Okay? That guy is not a builder. He's a destroyer. Okay? He doesn't create a goddamn thing that benefits anybody but himself. That means you get thrown under the bus. She gets thrown under the bus. The kids get thrown under the bus. But he gets all the benefits. You know what I'm saying? That's what he does. And right now, the only friends that he's got, if he still has them, is some of these billionaires, okay? And of course, he promised them that he was going to give them their, extend their tax breaks, okay? Renew them, whatever. And that's all that matters to him. And so in order to do that, he's got to cut everywhere else so that way the government can afford it. And like I said, he's going to throw everyone under the bus so that way the rich can have their continued tax breaks. All right. Now, if that doesn't make people in this country hate the rich even more, I don't know what the hell will. But I think at this point, this class warfare, as it's been described, is going to escalate to a point where the wealthy are going to be so hated in this country that there's probably going to be a lot more of these Luigi incidents here happening in this country, and nobody that's wealthy is going to be safe. Okay, if you own a business, you're a target. If you're a CEO of a business, you're a target. Okay, that's the way it's going to end up being. Because why? The rich couldn't do their fair share. They couldn't leave us alone. They couldn't pay their taxes. Okay, they were always fucking us over. People aren't going to be victims forever, you know. At some point, there's going to be retaliation, and when it happens, you know, I don't see why people would be, you know, upset about it. Okay, we're upset about it when there's school shootings, but on this, we understand better than what people would assume. We understand that, hey, the people that get attacked, you know, they did something. They did something bad. Okay, they did something that wasn't right. And the way people of this person's class, the way they behave, the way they do things, has been hurting this country and hurting the majority of the people living in this country for decades. Okay? People cannot be treated like slaves, you know, all across the board. It's not right. It's just wrong. Okay? It's just fucking wrong. I mean, there's laws and then there's right and wrong, and it's just wrong. Okay? You got to have some sense of obligation in your life to things. If you're an American, you should feel obligated to be part of the country, not stand outside of it. If you got a house in this country, you are obligated, I think, to pay the taxes on it and all that shit. Okay, that's part of the responsibility of being an American. You have to pay your taxes, not to look for ways around it. And the rich are very good at coming up with all kinds of excuses for not paying. All right? And they hire enough fucking lawyers to win their cases. But you and I, we can't do that. No matter, you know, we can't afford the lawyers for one thing, but we can't argue our way out of it. If we did that, then everybody could do it. Then the government would never get taxes. Okay? But, you know, it's a war that's not being waged with cannon and tanks and troops and stuff. It's a quiet war between the super wealthy and the poor. And that's been going on around us as we live our day-to-day lives, okay? We're not always told about it. The news doesn't always mention it, but it is a war that's going on, okay? And, you know, unless we stop ignoring it and start taking issue with it, we're going to have a continuation of the oligarchy getting its fucking hands in our government the way it has now. Okay, that's always going to be a plague on our country. So I really don't know what more to say about that, except that, you know, we need to start getting active here, all of us, in opposition to what Trump's doing, and with the ultimate goal of the oligarchs here, with their Project 2025, what they're trying to create in America here, as far as they're concerned. Okay, so, you know, it's not going to benefit all of us. It's not going to benefit the people who need the benefits. Okay, it's not going to benefit those, but the benefits will go to those who don't need them. All right, they're rich regardless, no matter what happens. So anyway, that's about it for today. So I hope everybody has a great rest of the week. Subscribe, comment, share. Keep your ears open for health issues, especially those of you in Texas, because apparently the measles thing, the MMR, is getting bad. And I would suggest that, you know, get the vaccines, okay? To hell with RFK Jr. I mean, I'm telling you, you know, get vaccinated, okay? Don't become the core of a new outbreak of a shitstorm of a pandemic here. Jesus. So anyway, treat each other like neighbors, try to help each other out when you can. Don't close the door and give in to desperation and despair. All right, you have to create some kind of a connection with your community to feel like there's some hope somewhere. Okay, that it gives you a sense of a preparedness. Okay, it helps, I guess. We all need that. So I'll talk to you guys later. Take care, everybody.